Creating a solo game in 48 hours is never an ideal scenario for me, nor is it something I enjoy doing, mainly because games are complex and aren't supposed to be dished out in 2 days. You have to be a graphic artist, game designer, developer, audio engineer, and have many other hats to fill in order to make it to the finish line. And after all that, you still need cover art, a title, description, and some level of marketing to share and collect feedback. Every now and then I find myself entering a game jam event to explore my creativity, try something new, meet people, and limit test myself. It's like going to the gym and working out, but for 2 days straight. As with most game jams, you're given a theme or concept with a goal of creating a game, and today is no different. Our theme is limited space. Typically themes are either too vague or specific, yet this time around it was great. I ended up putting together 7 ideas, narrowing down to 3 concepts, and ultimately committing to 1. This concept is a trivia platformer game where you need to avoid falling off platforms which disappear as the game progresses, hence limiting your space. To start this project, I created a platform and character to get the base mechanics down. Then I needed to figure out how to make the platform float, then add collisions, and lastly implement some level of physics between the player jumping and landing on the platforms. This took a while to get going, but task complete. Next I implemented the platform breaking mechanic. I originally planned on having the platform be glass and marbles drop from the sky up above, destroying them, but I instead created a flickering animation and made the platforms disappear. Now that everything is working, time to incorporate the trivia piece. At first I went for 1 question with 4 options as 4 answers, making each platform a different color that would disappear if that answer is correct, that corresponds with the color, but 4 colors is pretty intense. I then dialed that down to 1 question with 2 answers, so the player now has a 50-50% chance of either getting the question right or getting the question wrong. This also helped me with limiting the amount of platforms that were disappearing or destroying, which in return results in a longer play session. Alrighty, and so everything's looking good. I have all the core or all the base mechanics taken care of, and it turns out I actually have more time on my hands. And so I went back to my list of additional features, and one of them that I really wanted to implement here was creating online multiplayer. And so I began working on that feature. It turns out I spent far more time addressing a latency issue I came across, then a camera issue I came across. Then I had no way of testing the game as I don't have 4 people to test the game with me. And ultimately, if I was going to add 3 other individuals to the game, then I would need to account for adding NPCs and giving them logic for individuals who actually can't play with others. Ultimately, I would like multiplayer, and this is something I'm going to revisit, but for time's sake, I'm scrapping the idea. However, I still had a few hours left on my hands to create something or enhance something, and I didn't want to get too into the gameplay juice of adding particles and many other things. It turns out I went to the next item on my list of features, and that item was creating a score, some type of score feature. In this case, I ended up adding a clock. This clock would appear after the first question is answered, and then appears randomly throughout the map or throughout the game. Collecting these clocks will allow you to have an opportunity to bring some of the platforms back, making the playing session longer. I then took the amount of clocks, multiplied it with the total amount of questions answered, and then boom, that calculates the score for the player. Alright, next up, I started adding more questions to the game. Currently only have 1 question, however, creating tens or hundreds of questions is just way too time consuming. So I used ChatGPT for this. I created a struct template, and then I told ChatGPT the format of how I want the questions returned, and I ended up with a few hundred questions. ChatGPT answered everything and gave me all the questions I wanted in a nice list, and it was just a quick copy and paste experience to adding all the questions in the game, so that was pretty neat. So yeah, I now have over 500 questions ranging from math to science to English, and there you go, the game is almost complete. With 1 hour left, I decided to continue using AI to create the music and also create the cover art, or a concept of the cover art. And surprisingly, this all went well. The last time I used AI music generation was about 3 years ago, and it wasn't nearly as good as it is now. And for the cover artwork, this is my first time using AI to create images for games, and this went pretty well. However, AI cannot recreate words or any language for that matter, which I believe is by design. So I ended up taking the artwork that it gave me and then editing it in Asprite to update the name or update the title. And there you have it, creating a game in 48 hours. It's always a great feeling to finish a game and then add it to your mini project collection, which for me just looks like a random set of games, as I tend to challenge myself and create something different every time. Well, if you'd like to give this game a go, my high score is 380, the link is in the description below, and you can play it on your browser. Time to play some entries, work on my RPG project, and until next time.